Hello, folks out there in internet land, and thank you for tuning that dial to the Eek channel. My name is James, and today I am joined by my co-host.
Hi, I'm local homeless man Alex.
Alex wasn't 100% prepared to be on the show today. This is why maybe his
I work from home, and it was a comfortable day today.
See, like, that's what I hate. Like, I'm so close to being at full work from home status because I don't like have an office that I go to. But I'm going out to job sites, I guess we'll say, and like doing my thing instead. And that means I don't get the comfortability of work from home until I get home after my travel portion of the day. And so like today I got home at like 2 o'clock. It's like that's when I get to take off my freaking polo and slacks.
I've never even seen you in polo and slacks.
It's the worst. It's the absolute worst. But I have to do it for my job. So I get home, I can take off my monkey suit, and I can finally be me again.
Put my jean jacket on and rock out.
Gosh. I left my vest downstairs. I wore it in the previous recording, and now I don't have it. I just feel like I need another layer here.
We need to yell at wardrobe. They messed up.
I know. I should. Hannah? No, if she ran wardrobe, I'd be wearing some crazy shit.
I mean, she wouldn't let me step on in my sweet red, white, and blue apparel here.
You're just ready for the 4th of July. It's fine. So this is a SpoilerVision episode, which means that we just watched a movie, and then we are going to come back to you with our hot take and immediate review to determine if the movie gets the original Eek seal of quality. This week on SpoilerVision, we are discussing Haunt. So Haunt is a 2019 American horror film. It is written and directed by Scott Beck and Brian Woods. It stars Katie Stevens, Will Britton, Lauren McLean, Andrew Caldwell, Shazi Raja, and Skylar Helford. I'm assuming it's Skylar. It's spelled Schuler.
Sure.
But with the way it... So
you forgot Mitch.
I should look up who played Mitch. That's really important.
I hope it's just Mitch.
So, I feel like Skylar spelled as Schuler was definitely a thing. It's been a thing for a long time, obviously. And I remember knowing some Skylars that were spelled Schuler, and they would be like, "Oh, it's so stupid when people think my name is pronounced Schuler." And I'm like, well, it's spelled Schuler. Yeah. But I get it. Whatever. But then I'm pretty sure that freaking, like, some millennial age parents have named their children Skylar spelled Schuler, but they're just pronouncing it Schuler.
I can't keep up.
I'm pretty sure that's a thing now.
Just tell everyone, hey, dude, and just leave it at everybody's dude, man.
Dude, man, big chief.
Hey, bud.
Boss.
Oh, how you doing, Hoss?
All right, so I'm going to get into the back of the box here. Let's crank some tunage. On Halloween, a group of friends encounter an extreme haunted house that promises to feed on their darkest fears. The night turns deadly as they come to a horrifying realization that some nightmares are real. To haunt.
To haunt.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
And now for our feature presentation.
And we're back. We're coming at you with our thoughts on Haunt. Before we get into that, I have a little bit of trivia. First of all, I could find no budget information on this movie.
$12
whatsoever.
I saw so many pallets.
I can't find how much they spent. I can't find how much they've made. It is technically still in theaters because it got a limited theater release. So, we're able to kind of ride on it. It's very hot. It's very new. Not hot. It's very new
So hot right now.
right now. It's very new, which is a cool thing. So what I've been wanting to do is I've kind of structured our month as far as what movies that we watch. Whenever I used to just be like, oh, fuck, well, we're watching this week. I don't know. And then figure it out. I don't necessarily have them all planned out. That's not what I'm saying. But I have a schedule, so to speak. So I want to do something old, which is like, something that maybe none of us have seen that's considered a classic, or something that's a little bit more underground that none of us have seen. That was where we got like Chopping Mall.
Mm-hmm.
That's a pretty popular one, but none of us had seen it because it was just a little bit more under the radar than most of us were used to. And then something new. So a newer, big budget, A-list release, which is why we did like Brightburn, something that's big and cost a lot of money, which basically means it's either from A24 or Blumhouse, because they're the only people that make big budget horror anymore.
And there's like a 2% chance it's good.
Oh, absolutely. And then the next week is something I'm just, for my own purposes, I'm just calling it something weird, but it's usually going to be something a little bit more low budget indie. It could be an older indie flick. It could be a newer indie flick. This week we ended up with a newer indie flick.
Yeah.
So this movie is from, like we said, Scott Beck and Brian Woods. They wrote the script for this while they were also writing the script for A Quiet Place. So same dudes that wrote A Quiet Place. Now, they had no expectations that either of these films would actually be made. These guys are kind of a really great, like, Cinderella rags to riches story in horror filmmaking right now. So these are two dudes from frickin' Davenport, Iowa.
Okay.
And they're not even from Davenport proper. They're from like some little city outside of Davenport.
East Davenport.
Something. And they are friends from like high school, and they started writing screenplays for horror movies. And they sold A Quiet Place to, I think, Paramount, and then they brought on John Krasinski. He kind of did some rewrites and got a co-writer credit for the film. And it made blockbusters. It did so well. They made a ton of money off of it. It's a whole big thing. And so part of their deal with Paramount for selling them A Quiet Place was, hey, you can have A Quiet Place and do whatever you want to it, but we want to write and direct our next film, and you have to pay us money for that too. So Paramount distributed Haunt.
Paramount definitely has better lawyers because they didn't give them any acting talent.
They probably didn't get a lot of money for it, but at least they got it distributed and it got made.
It's true.
So that's cool. This film was also filmed in a bunch of tiny little towns, so Cincinnati is a river city.
Mm-hmm.
The Ohio River is like right there. You're from Ohio.
I'm aware. Yeah.
You know these things.
We know that river.
Directly across the river is Kentucky. And so there's a bunch of little towns in Kentucky that are almost like suburbs of Cincinnati because it's just so damn close. And so this was filmed in a bunch of little tiny suburb towns across the river. So like it's technically filmed in Kentucky, but it's made in Cincinnati. What's interesting about that, another kind of low-key indie film, which we've talked about on the podcast a couple times before, Candy Corn, comes out this year, also filmed in a bunch of random little suburbs around Cincinnati. And so I'm kind of interested, is like Cincy becoming this like hub of independent low budget horror because it's so cheap to film there because nobody's filming there. Like that could be a really cool thing. We could kind of be in a heyday of like movies actually being made in the Midwest, not that far from like us.
Yeah.
And like that's kind of bitchin'. And so that's why they did the Candy Corn screening at Cincinnati Horror Hound.
Makes
because
sense,
it was filmed like
right there,
40 minutes from the convention center. And so like that was kind of their big thing. And I think Josh Hasty's from that general area. And so like that was like the whole deal. And so I don't know. I'm really intrigued by the fact that two kind of interesting indie horror flicks that came out this year were both basically filmed in Cincinnati. And I just think that's kind of cool. There's basically no other trivia available for this movie.
Who's Mitch? Oscar for Mitch.
Oscar for Mitch. So let's talk a little bit about what happened in Haunt. It's a very basic setup, I would say.
Yeah.
It's this. We've seen this in movies like Hell House LLC.
Yeah.
It's not too different. We watched two movies.
The carnival one. What was
Yep.
that one?
We watched Bloodfest and Hellfest.
Yeah, that's right.
That were like mockbusters of each other. They both
Yeah.
came out about the same time and they had basically the same premise. But one was really funny and one tried to be really scary.
Yeah, those were interesting.
So it kind of has that vibe to it. It's not a super original idea. The basic premise is a bunch of teenagers go to a haunt. Haunt turns out to be a lot scarier than they signed up for because real shit happens.
Yeah.
You know, within that, we get some almost Saw-like moments of, oh, this is like a haunt puzzle escape room thing, and you know, you figure it out and whatever. That's basically the whole movie. I don't think we need to go into much more detail than that.
It was like a lot of different movies sort of put together. It was trying to find itself, but it was also trying to like, I want to make nods to like every different horror genre like possible.
Yeah.
It was definitely weird. I still don't really understand the motive behind the bad guys.
See, that's the thing, is there wasn't any. And what's interesting about the whole shebang, so I guess this is how we'll do our kind of synopsis. It is exactly what we said, and then some of the workers of the haunt get killed by the kids trying to escape. Some of the kids get killed because that's what they do.
Yeah.
And at the end, we have two kids escape. We have basically our final girl, Chaz the bro, who are the ones who escape. And they go to the hospital, and then final girl chick, I don't know any characters' names in this movie.
Just Chaz and Mitch.
But Chaz isn't even his real name.
No.
I do remember his real name was Nathan.
We just named him Chaz.
He was such a Chaz.
Oh.
So our final girl ends up making the connection, or maybe figuring out, discovering, piecing together, oh, when we went to the haunted house, they made us all sign waivers, and we put our addresses on those waivers. So maybe they'll come to those addresses.
Yeah.
Maybe. And so that's the big twist of the movie. And like the last sequence, I guess, it's probably 4 minutes long, where she goes back to her parents' address, which is the address she wrote down on the waiver, because she's a college student, so she didn't write down her real address. She wrote down her parents' address.
That's why you always write down the dorm room or the college address. I get out of so much crap by writing that down. Sorry, Indiana Tech, but not really.
So she wrote down her parents' address. She goes back to her parents' old house and sets up this Home Alone situation to take out any of these folks who show up.
Yeah.
Which the ringleader of this shit show circus, this clown guy,
His face love people. I don't know.
yeah, he does show up because I guess he's tying up loose ends. Like,
Yeah.
why not just leave? I don't know. Go to a different town, set up the same thing. That's what they do in Hell House. They just move to a different city. Like, doesn't matter.
Nope. Gotta stay here. This is the place.
I guess. And so he goes to tie up some loose ends, goes after our final girl. Macaulay Culkins him into the exact same traps that she fell into, and then blows his head off.
Yeah. But then, like, my question is, like, where's her parents?
I don't know. I don't know.
That wasn't
Maybe they
clear.
don't live there. So this is one of those movies that if you try to put any amount of logic into it,
Oh yeah.
it just doesn't hold up.
Half the movie was us screaming at the screen like, wait, yeah, okay, you're charging the guy with the gun and you're holding a baseball bat. You took a shot, you hit it, you beat the guy down. Okay, barely believable. Now you drop your baseball bat.
He drops a baseball bat. It's so amazing. He gets shot
Oh my god.
and is able to still walk around.
Like square in the liver. Like
But he believes that hitting his assailant with a baseball bat one time is good enough, even
Done.
though, bro, you got shot and you're still walking around.
Yeah.
Don't you think he could probably still walk around after getting hit with a baseball bat?
that obnoxious, like, I'm gonna knock out the one chick with the pitchfork.
Oh,
or
yeah.
Stuff. There's so many of just like, wait, why? And then like
That was an interesting little twist.
Chaz dropping the key. Put it in your pocket, Chaz.
Yeah, at one point, Chaz has the key to the lockbox that opens up. It opens up the lockbox. The lockbox is where they put all their cell phones before they started the haunt. And a fog machine goes off as a jump scare.
So scary.
He just drops it down a vent, and it's gone forever now.
Oh, and then the X, like that whole storyline was.
Yeah, there was this
so-
whole extra storyline where our final girl has this creepy ex-boyfriend named Sam.
Who looks 12 years older and like he's been in a factory for 20 years.
Also true, but he's like texting her at the beginning of the movie, very controlling. Maybe not really an ex-boyfriend, maybe a current boyfriend, but she doesn't have the lady balls to break up with him because he's really possessive and creepy and scary, which is not good, but they kind of paint him as this character that's maybe going to come in and save the day, but he like finds her location of his cell phone in a random sequence of events that makes no sense, and goes to the haunt, and within like 10 seconds is killed.
Dead instantly.
He just shows up. Hey, I'm looking for. I'm dead.
Somehow they rigged up a vape pen to shoot a bolt out at a strong enough amount of speeds to go through the dude's neck.
It's just a bolt. I thought it was gonna be like a trank dart or something,
Yeah.
and he pulls it out, and it's literally just a bolt.
Or like a nail gun or I don't know, man. It's just like a bolt and like
A threaded bolt. It's even
Yeah.
threaded.
It's thick as hell too. There's
It's
no point.
huge.
So the amount of man,
It was strange.
I want any random, like, if there's one physicist out there, watch this movie, find that out, see if what kind of force that place would have to be rigged with. I want to know.
Probably enough that they wouldn't have to shoot it at him, and they could just hit him with that force, and he would have died.
Yeah, probably.
You know, like, I don't know. Just throwing that out there. Okay, so let's talk about the look and sound. It looks like a modern low budget movie.
Yeah.
Looks exactly like you expect it to look. Honestly, it looks like most like really well done YouTube horror shorts.
Yeah, I'd say yeah.
That's how I felt about pretty much the entire film. Is that like, oh, this is like a little YouTube short that was pretty good, and they got enough, not a ton of money,
No.
but enough money to make that short a feature-length film.
Yeah.
And that's not a knock on it. That's just what it looks like.
Yeah. It doesn't have to like super high polish, but it's nice enough to be like you get that good feeling that you know you're in for a fun time.
Yeah. It definitely wears its low budget on its sleeve.
Yeah.
And it's not afraid of that. There's some really stupid early on. I don't know if you were here for this part. Early on, when did you walk in?
I walked in. They were just getting to the haunt.
Okay. Did you see them in the car before getting to the haunt with the fake Uber thing?
No.
Okay.
I missed that part.
I was gonna say, I think you walked in right after that. You walked in pretty much right when they were coming up to the clown, and he did like
they were all like
pick one game.
12 of them are inside one minivan somehow sitting down. I don't know.
So they get in the minivan, and our guy who's like the fool of the group,
Oh, yeah,
the comedy component.
Yeah, the lock-picking expert.
Yeah, he drives the minivan. It's his van.
Of course.
And so they're leaving this big party at this bar, because he's like, oh, this bird's fucking lame, and then they're all like, yeah, I guess it is kind of lame, and so then they leave, and then they're piling in his van. It's like, oh, we should go to a haunted house. It's Halloween. And so then they start looking up haunted houses to go to. And then he just gets everybody in his van and starts to drive. And then he like flicks this light on his dashboard. And it's one of those little like Lyft Uber lights. But they didn't have the permission to use Lyft or Uber.
Yeah.
So like made up their own little logo. And it's this little light thing. Then Chaz is sitting shotgun. And he goes, what are you doing? He's like, oh, paying for my tuition, bro. Like, you can't expect us to pay you for this ride. And he's like, I am a 5-star respected member of the rideshare community. I can't just give you free rides because you're my friends. So, like, they even took the time to make this little, like, LED light up thing with a fake
There was plenty
logo.
of time to reconsider the scene, is what you're saying.
It was great though, because it just like it added this little piece of like we all don't recognize this logo. None of us know what this is, but we know it's
we all know what this is.
Uber and Lyft. Like I liked it. I liked it a lot. The sound had nothing memorable about necessarily the music or anything like that, but I will say the audio design for the surround sound was way better than most movies of this caliber.
Yeah, that and the teeth on metal. That one was. I still remember this.
Yeah. There's a
was
part
nuts.
where this guy gets and basically you take a claw hammer, stick it in his mouth, and just pull upwards. And that was super intense. And yeah, there was a metal on teeth sound that happened more than once in
That was good.
with that hammer.
I'm gonna make that my ringtone. Whenever James texts me, it's just gonna be that sound.
Oh, it was a rough sound. And we did have a great jump scare moment in the surround sound. I mean, Cody was watching the movie with us, and like he was sitting next to me, right next to our surround sound speaker, and literally jumped out of his chair. Like, I mean, it was very dramatic. It was great.
He's a scaredy cat.
He's real good at jumping and then just slapping whatever's closest to him.
Which luckily was you today.
This time
instead
it
of
was
me.
me. Okay, so let's say, is the movie scary?
I wouldn't really say it's scary. I
Yeah.
mean, there's definitely some. But okay, for me, that's so desensitized to everything. It definitely wasn't scary.
Yeah.
To newer horror people, yeah, I could say there's some spots that would be scary or squeamish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think if anything, it spaced these moments out really well. It didn't have a lot of them. These kind of gore tension moments where it's like, you know something's going to happen. You know something's going to happen. You know something's going to happen. Well, and then guess what? It does happen.
Yeah.
And they show most of it. And the gore is pretty good, but it's never ridiculously over the top or it's just happening constantly. And so I think those moments can be very kind of anxiety inducing.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's something that you're not used to, you might find it scary. I didn't think the movie was really scary. That doesn't mean that I thought it was bad. It just wasn't that scary. What would you say would be the scariest moment?
The scariest moment, not just like the most like
Yeah.
kind of thing. Yeah, I don't know what would be like the scariest. I mean, honestly, the part where Cody got trapped by the jump scare was pretty good.
That was pretty good. I think crawling through that tunnel the first time, like I have been in, not an extreme haunt, but I have been in a haunt where they made me crawl through a tunnel, and I really fucking didn't like it.
Ooh, or that coffin scene with the spiders, that kind of gave me
that was pretty good too.
Yeah.
So I don't know, and I'm not claustrophobic necessarily, but I don't know if it just comes naturally with being a larger than average person,
Yeah.
where you're just like, That's too tight of a fit for me. I don't want to do that.
And it's like, I'm at a disadvantage here. Put me on an open field. All right, let's party.
Yeah.
Put me in this thing where I can't maneuver around a lot. All right, I get it. You win.
Yeah, I didn't like that tunnel crawling scene. I didn't really like that spiders in the coffin scene. I liked the contraption of the coffin. I thought that was a really good, scary thing for a movie to have. But it was scary enough that in real life, if I was in a haunted house and they're like, oh, it's like a trap door thing or a secret door thing, you go in, shut the coffin door, the backside opens. I'm like, no, I'm not doing that.
Hard pass.
I'm not doing that. Where's the chicken out tunnel? Like, no, that's not. This is not fitting in your tiny little fucking coffin. Like,
those were real big coffins.
They were real big, but I still didn't want to do
I
it.
feel like I would have scraped my shoulders, but like, I think most people would fit into those.
I still wouldn't have wanted to do it.
Yeah,
And I felt the same way with the tunnel. Like I said, I've been in a haunted house where they had us. It wasn't really in a tunnel, but they did make us crawl. It was like this elevated thing, and they're just like, oh, go, and it's like it's not tall enough for you to stand, so obviously you have to crawl. And then their whole thing is like it had like a glass bottom, and like they were doing spooky shit underneath it, and so you saw it as you're crawling. You're like, ah, but I still didn't want to do it. It's very uncomfortable for someone of my body type to be crawling in anything. Like, no.
Well, I mean, there's the other thing where we went to this haunted corn maze, which is the most Indiana, Ohio thing you can say.
Midwest.
There's this one part where you go through, and it's like, if you imagine yourself being trapped between two very large bouncy castles, like that kind of material just like pushing against you, and you just essentially you're just like trying to get out, and it just gets more and more pressurized, so you're like fighting against it more, and it's like all over your face.
So you're getting birthed again.
Yeah, and it was super uncomfortable. It wasn't really scary, but just super uncomfortable.
Yep. So that's my scariest moment. All right, what would you say is the best kill?
Oh, there was some decent ones.
There was.
I really like it was the one outside with the funny guy where we were like, oh, he's just dead, that's it, and like we were all like tension down, and then all of a sudden he takes the hammer and rips his face off, and it's like, I wasn't ready for that.
Yeah, that's probably the best one. As my backup, I'll put in one that you hated. So the whole movie, not the whole movie, we get glimpses throughout the movie of this other worker at the haunt. So everybody at the haunt has a mask, and they all have different masks, so you can kind of tell the different characters apart. Mitch is the ghosty guy. We have this vampire-y guy. We got this devil-y guy, and we've got this witchy lady. Like, they all have their own
and
things.
Big clown guy.
And so then, at random moments, we're getting this, like, much larger, more elaborate mask than any of their masks. And it's like this big skeleton, like Grim Reaper, Lord of Death.
Kind of predatory?
It had these, like, bones coming out the sides, for sure. And just a hood. And we don't really see what this character's doing. And so, like, they do a great job of making you think, like, oh, this is like Mother Maylene. This is like the one pulling all the strings. This is the grandpa in Texas Chainsaw Massacre, like, who maybe he's not like actively doing everything, but he started this whole thing. You get that vibe from this masked figure. And we see the masked figure going after the final girl, and she surprises the masked figure, whops it on the back of the head with the devil guy's pitchfork, because she already killed the devil guy. Whops him on the back of the head with the pitchfork, and then just immediately guts it. And then we remove the mask. This is not a haunt worker. This was her friend, one of the other kids from earlier in the film.
Honestly, should have bled out by then.
Yeah, because she got hit in this razor trap or something.
In the tattoo trap.
There's this moment they all have to stick their hands into this hole, and it's like that classic haunted house, like, oh, I'm touching brains. Oh, I'm touching eyeballs. But it's like ramen noodles and peeled grapes.
Yeah.
And then there's a third one, but there's nothing in the third one. And they grab your arm and they cut you with some razors. But it's really funny because she like pulls her arm out and there's no cuts. And the idea and the effect is that they use something that was so sharp that like it takes a second for the blood to start coming out, like a scalpel or something, you know. Then we see the blades later and they're just rusty razor blades.
Yeah.
But whatever. That's the idea of this effect because we see her just looking at her hand for a second, but all we see is this tattoo.
Yeah.
It's like, what? Did they just give her a tattoo really fast? Like, what the fuck? But then it takes a second. They CGI some little like razor cuts
like
in there.
3 lines and like one directly down the
Oh,
road.
just.
And I'm like, okay,
Yep.
you're dead in the next minute.
Yeah.
dog.
But she makes it. They turn her into Lady Death
All the
or,
way to
or
the end.
Lord of Death
Yeah.
something. And then she gets stabbed with a pitchfork. If nothing else, that poor girl is like.
That was a sweet release for her at that point.
She got like the shittiest end of every stick in this movie.
Yeah.
She took her friend's ring to wear out on Halloween night, then she lost it.
Yep.
And then she gets her wrist slit vertically, and then she's just like bleeding out the rest of the movie basically. She's crawling through the tunnel and
yeah.
she's like, you could tell she's like losing like
super pale. And
yeah,
like
she's
sweating
lost all
and
this
just-
blood. Like
yeah.
she's done. And then they dress. Then the bad guys finally catch her, and they just dress her up as another bad guy.
Good
But her
enough.
hands are tied, so she can't do anything under this cloak. And then she gets killed by her friend. So that's my best kill.
Oh.
All right, let's go ahead. This is sitting. I've been asking people, would you like to know the Rotten Tomatoes rating now or after you tell me your rating?
I don't care.
Okay. It is currently sitting at a 61% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is fine. That's respectable. I mean, for something this low budget, yeah, it's coming out and being billed as from the writers of A Quiet Place. But A Quiet Place had so much other star power attached to it.
Yeah.
I mean, you got Jim from The Office. You got his wife, Emily Blunt. You've got them doing this crazy thing where they actually have it's all about hearing and kind of hearing loss, and they actually have a hearing impaired actress in the movie. Like, there's just way more going for that film than is going for this film.
Probably way more budget.
Oh, 100%. At least twice the budget.
Pretty sure John, like, his pay was the budget for this film.
Oh, absolutely. And so, you know, there's that aspect of it to where maybe it's supposed to seem better than what it is, which is just part of selling a movie. But I really liked it. It gets a thumbs up from me. I had a lot of fun with this movie. I think that this paired with Candy Corn is the best 2019 Halloween double feature that you could ever ask for. And I know you haven't seen Candy Corn yet.
Haven't. No.
And I will cover it as soon as I get my Blu-ray copy. But yeah, I think that they pair together really well. They're both themed around the holiday of Halloween, and I really enjoyed it. I would throw honestly, I had enough fun with it that I would throw 85 nuggies at it. Like, it's not revolutionizing the genre. There's plenty of plot holes.
Yeah.
There's plenty of suspension of belief, but it's a fun movie. Compared to Hellfest and Bloodfest, this is way better.
Absolutely.
This movie, to me, is every once in a while, this used to happen maybe more like 3 to 4 to 5 years ago, where every once in a while you're perusing Netflix and you're like, holy shit, I finally watched a decent scary movie on Netflix. Yeah. They're not all shitty. Like this for me is on the same level as Hush. It's on the same level as Hell House LLC. I'm not sure if you've seen that one. It's on Shudder. I'm not sure if it was ever on Netflix.
Okay.
But it's one of those movies that like is more enjoyable than it should be, with the amount of money that was spent on the budget and the star power that's in it and stuff. Like, You're expecting it to potentially be total garbage, but it's actually like, hey, that movie's not that fucking bad. And you know what? I might watch it again.
Yeah.
And I think that's great. I think that we need more movies like that. I think that they're harder and harder to find. So yeah, gets a 85 for me and a thumbs up.
Yeah. Yeah, I would definitely also give it a thumbs up.
Nice.
It's a great group watch.
Yes, I agree with that.
I don't think I would personally sit down and rewatch it again just by myself.
Yeah.
Like it's not.
Oh, another one that it reminded me of is like The Circle.
Okay, yeah.
And like
yeah.
some of those, you
Like-
know, Netflix movies that like were probably pretty low budget, probably without Netflix nobody would ever seen.
Well, I'm a sucker for that because it's a single room shot.
Yeah.
In film, so you know I love those. But yeah, like watching this with a group and just getting that experience of like, wait, no, don't do that. Oh, shh! Like Hannah literally the screen.
Yeah, my wife shushed the movie.
Because he tried to.
He
like,
was
hid-
being too
He
loud.
hid behind a tarp and like he's trying to hide, and she's like, shh, and we all just start turning like you. That's the experience. That's the experience that I would throw down money on. So,
Yeah.
definitely. Like, I would probably agree with your 850 there.
Yeah, 85.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah, right in the 5 to 850 there.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, that about wraps it up for this SpoilerVision episode. Don't forget the SpoilerVision episodes are not our only episodes. Eek Speak is our horror house party, and it happens every week, Mondays at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. And we record it live on YouTube. And, you know, we'd love for you to join us and engage in the conversation in chat. Also, a party is always more fun with, what do you like at your parties?
Nobody.
Alex doesn't want anybody at his party, so he can just sit in his office and play WoW Classic.
My ideal birthday is doing nothing but playing video games and my
Hey.
wife making dinner.
You like Friday D&D parties that we do sometimes. Those are still parties.
I mean, you guys are the party.
We are the party.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go. Parties are always more fun with
Dice.
dice. That's a good one. I was gonna pick like a good class. Parties are always more fun with barbarians. Parties are always less fun with rogues and druids, right?
Aww.
Just generally speaking, because all the shenanigans.
Yeah, sometimes shenanigans are good.
Parties are always more fun with bards. That's pretty true. That's pretty true. If anybody out there plays D&D and your group doesn't have a bard, from my experience, parties are always more fun with a bard. Maybe not more successful, but always more fun.
Yeah.
But realistically, parties are always more fun with guests. If you would like to be a guest on Eek Speak, all you have to do is reach out to us on Instagram at Eek Channel. That is EEKCHANNNEL. You can also email us at hello@eekchannel.com. You can even go to eekchannel.com, click on the Be a Guest link in the upper right-hand corner, and get in touch with us that way. Both of them work. All three of them work. If you want to help out the show, you can, like, subscribe, comment, enable notifications. You can just do all those internet things that people do. We are doing pretty good on YouTube subscribers. We're up to like 71 or 72.
Yeah, not bad.
I would like to hit 100. After we hit 100 YouTube subscribers, I'll stop talking about it. Like, because that's really the only milestone for them to like give you shit.
Yeah.
So like once I have that and I can have my custom URL and everything, I'm cool. Like if we get 5,000 someday, super rad. But like if we never get more than 100, that's okay too. Maybe we need like 105 just in case people unsubscribe.
I can't imagine them taking it away.
Because I really want a custom URL so that whenever we have guests on the show and they're like, how can people find it? I don't have to say, oh, they have to go on YouTube and search for Eek Channel and then click on our account. They can just go to youtube.com/Eek Channel. Like that's what it should be. But you don't get that till you get 100 subscribers. So we're gonna get there. We're getting closer. So if you want to subscribe on YouTube, that would be really, really helpful. Okay, Alex, do you have anything else to say for the people?
Go Browns.
Go Bears and spade and neuter your pets.
Yes.
Thank you guys so much for listening.
This has been a production of Eek Channel. We make spooky stuff for people like you. You can discover more content like this at eekchannel.com or find us on Instagram, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, all the places. And don't be shy, we like making new friends. Thank you for tuning in and stay eeky out there.